Don't want to get anybody mad on a Friday, but I think you're going to get a little miffed when you hear this next report. You know, the financial health report of the two biggest benefit programs came out earlier this week, and it's not encouraging. In short, Social Security is much less secure than it was a year ago, and Medicare is paying out more money than it receives. Declining revenues for both programs, as you know, have been an ongoing issue for years. Joe Cryer, president of Cryer Wealth Management, is here with some information if you rely on those programs or if you hope to rely on them in the future. Maybe you shouldn't. Good morning to you, Joe.
Hey, Stacy.
We talk about this. People have been talking about this for years. Finally, the doom and gloom forecast has been released yet again.
Yet again. And, you know, the thing about all the previous doom and gloom forecasts were that the date that it was going to go bust was so far into the future that it seemed like we didn't have to worry about it. You know, it's somebody else's problem. Well, now we're talking about something that's as near as 8-9 years away, and that is really in our face. And that's how we deal with things in America. Until it's an absolute disaster, we don't actually get on it.
Which is kind of what happened with this banking crisis, is it not?
Pretty much, you know.
People had been talking about it for years, and
Sure, the warnings came along, and in fact, as a advisor planner, we've always looked at the implosion of Social Security and Medicare as the biggest event that would happen, you know, throughout our advising lifetimes. Along comes the banking crisis, and all the money that's been printed up for the banking crisis makes that a third problem that's just as big as Social Security and Medicare.
All right, so take a look at these numbers for these programs. Social Security, more payouts than income by 2016. This is going to be totally bust by 2037. Medicare is even worse. More payouts than income now. Some say next year. This is going to be totally bust by 2017. You actually call these programs the biggest Ponzi schemes out there.
I do. And
technically,
because the benefits are coming straight from tax dollars that are being collected today. You know, let's face it, the trust funds that are designed to be behind the programs and actually accumulate assets so there's money forevermore have been depleted through various sources. And actually the government itself has borrowed $2.4 trillion from the Social Security Trust Fund that they promised to pay back at some point.
And they've been dipping into this over the years. And when do they say that they're going to pay it back?
Well, they haven't actually said that. They said when we balance the budget. So, you know, that leaves it kind of wide open, and we're a long ways from balancing the budget. And, you know, ultimately this thing is going to get to a point where we're just going to be, it's going to be right in our faces, and then we'll have to do some serious decision making.
Okay, a lot of people have been talking about the solutions to these problems for a while, and we've seen these before. You cut benefits, you start benefits later for people, balance the federal budget, and at the bottom there you say don't plan on it.
Yeah,
what do you mean?
If you're not receiving Social Security now, let's say you're in your accumulation phase of your financial life, just set that aside, you know, and what we try to do is say, hey, let's plan for the worst and hope for the best. And, you know, if it's there later on down the road, great, but we cannot count on it the way things are going. We've got to save through our own retirement plans and so forth, so we're ready at retirement.
President Bush tried to bring a plan in that some other nations have tried, where it's mandatory saving for retirement. Do you think that we'll see calls for that in the future?
I think we probably will, and you'll probably see a combination of all of the above there. They'll cut rates. They've already pushed out, you know, the date that you and I will start to receive benefits. I think it's 3 or 4 years later than our previous generation did. And they'll keep
pushing that. They'll keep pushing that. What happens, though, Joe, when you and I retire and we've been putting money into the system so long and that money's not going to come back to us? Well, that's infuriating.
You might get a thank you note from the 1 or 2 generations in front of you, because basically we funded their retirement, they got the benefit, and we just can't count on it going forward.
Class action lawsuit against the government?
I don't think you'd win that one. Yeah, it's kind of a write-off at this point, and you know, they're putting a lot of money into the system now to get through this crisis. The key thing will be if the Obama administration starts to pull money out and really does get fiscally responsible when they're able to do it. Right now they can't be responsible because it's a crisis situation. In a year or two, when things settle down, that's when we're going to see what they're, you know, how focused they are on fixing this.
Okay, Joe Cryer, president of Cryer Wealth Management. I feel a little flush now. Thanks, Joe. Well, as part of your financial survival.